Okay, well, welcome. Everybody wake up yet? Because that was pretty good there. It feels good in here right now.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to change that. So today's Q&A Sunday, which means you get to ask your questions your way to them, and they have to answer. So that's the rules. So it's up to you guys. This is for you. This is for your questions. So bring them on. You raise your hand. I'll come see you. I'm Phil Donahue today. And you just aged yourselves. All of you here laugh. And I aged myself too. Oh. Sorry. That's right. Questions? Y'all don't want me to do it. All right. Well, I'll start then. Because I've always got one in my pocket, or 12. So I want to talk about letting go.
Okay.
There's a lot. I think there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Yeah.
But I want to know how you guys do it. I mean, there's such a power in letting go. And I don't know if you call it surrender or letting go or whatever you want to call it, or release. But there's so many different ways. And I was curious about how y'all go about it.
Okay. Want to talk?
Well, go ahead if you've got.
I'll call on you one by one next time. James.
That's all right. I'm just trying to defer to my lovely wife.
I just thought maybe you had something ready to go. So.
Yeah. The idea of letting go is something that is natural. It's natural. It is unnatural to hang on to things. Okay? We are taught in society to hang on to everything, to hold tight. Don't let go. But the thing of it is, when you're holding on to one thing, you're not open to receive something else. When you hold on the inside, you're anxious and you're tense and you're nervous and you're, high strung. Anybody here like that? Don't raise your hand. I mean, it hits us all, right? So how do I really let go? How do I let go? Well, it's just the natural thing to do. So sometimes taking a bath. I know Leah loves her baths, and she gets the candles going sometimes, and she's got the bath salts, and she's got the lights turned down.
She's got the husband on an errand.
Got the husband on there, exactly, keeping me busy. And that's one way that she relaxes, And that's one way to let go. And sometimes whatever you're thinking about means that you're still holding on. Okay? So what you have to do is you have to switch your mind over to something else. And a lot of times, when we get still, that's when the mind starts to work. I remember when I first started meditating, I would get quiet, and then when in would come the parade. Da, 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 we have come to defile you, And those thoughts were just crazy. And so it took a while. Sometimes I would get quiet, but then I'd be snoring, fall asleep. But what I learned to do is just keep doing it and keep doing it because they told me it was good for me. So I just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it until finally something started to click. And my mind started to relax. And when my mind finally started to get still, then it's like something opened inside. I can't explain it, but there was an opening that took place within. And I began to feel differently about things. How many understand that emotions and feelings can take you over sometimes? Right? Because most of our beliefs are emotional. We hold on to our beliefs through our emotions. And so letting go of that, that tenseness inside is something that you have to learn. You have to grow into. You have to keep working on. It is a practice. It doesn't hit you overnight, but you keep working at it. And then there's little things you learn, little mantras that you say. One that I love to say is just peace. Or I am. I am. I am. I am peace. And I just focus on that until I feel that. You see what I mean? Because there's a certain, I don't know about you, but there's a certain sensation that comes when you feel at peace. And I love it. I absolutely adore being in that state. You know? I love laughter. I enjoy, just the idea of joy and ecstasy. I love that stuff, And so the only thing blocked me from it is my thoughts. See, a lot of people talk about love, they talk about joy, they talk about being at peace, but they're not at peace. So what we're talking about is surrendering to the point to where it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, doesn't matter what's going on in my life. Right now, I am peace. Right? And that's all that I need. And if I can get that.
I would say that in the arena of letting go of things, whether it's emotions, whether it's thinking, whether it's situations, that's probably one of the areas where I work with the unity principle of denials and affirmations the most. Because sometimes I just have to acknowledge what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. So if I have a continuing persistent thought about something, I try to identify what that is about. Is it fear-based, which most of the time it is? So I will use the terminology of, even though I am feeling this, it has no power over me, and I know that everything is working out for my highest good, or that that I always walk in peace. Whatever it is that I need to affirm behind that. But sometimes if I don't do something to quell the thought or the feeling, or acknowledge the tension in a situation or whatever, it'll just keep playing. So sometimes the easiest way for me to let go of something is just to acknowledge that it's there in a way of stating that, okay, I recognize that this is present, but it has no power over me. And by letting myself remember that it has no power over me, I'm saying that I can make the choice. I have the power and the responsibility to do something different. And so that allows me to, practicing that over and over allows me to let go of that thing and choose something different.
Yeah.
Anybody? There we go. Thank you. Now we're talking.
It's something that was on my mind for a long time. The word Alleluia.
Yes.
Obviously, I know what it means, but can you elaborate a little bit? Where does it come from? What does it really translate into?
It's a very good question. I haven't talked about that in a long time. The word Hallelujah is the name of God is Yah, or Ha in Hebrew. And so when you're saying Hallelujah, you're saying praise to, sing praise to God. And so when you're praising God, the word praise, the word raise is in praise. Okay? So you're raising your vibration, you're raising your awareness, you're raising your consciousness. So when I'm praising God, I'm praising the highest good, I'm praising, the everything that's the best that it could ever be, the infinite intelligence. You know what I'm saying? And whatever you praise, you're focused upon, and you become more like. When you appreciate something, when you praise something, you become like it. See? And it also works in reverse. Whatever you complain about, whatever you don't like, you will become more like. Oh. I don't know if you really got that or not. You'll have to think about that one. Does that make sense?
So you could say
Hallelujah.
that the word Alleluia is like the highest expression of gratitude almost.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when you're saying Alleluia or Hallelujah, you're saying, I accept all of this and I find good in all of this. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting back to the previous question, maybe I'm confused in the definition of an observer. If you're an observer and you're observing something and surrendering, how then do you actively engage yourself with positive energy if you're staying back? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing of it is it's like the word forgiveness also means to let go, to untie, to unbind, to unwind. Because we get ourselves, when we're holding somebody in anger or fear or judgment, we're bound up inside. And we're binding ourselves to them. And so, typically in life, most people are tied up to certain things, whether it be ideas, feelings, emotions, whether it be people, whether it be situations, whether it be things that I think should be this way or should be that way. We're tied to those things. And so surrender or letting go is releasing all of that so that it has no power over you. Okay? Because whatever you're emotionally attached to, you're giving your power to it. Does that make sense? You're giving power to it. So when I can let go of a situation that I can't figure out, that I don't know what to do, I can let go of it, then I can come from that zero resting balance point. Did you hear that? The zero resting balance point. And then I can fully engage in a positive way to deal with it. Does that make sense?
So wipe the slate clean stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Wipe the slate clean, detach myself from it, and then re-engage in life. Because that's what meditation is about. You're totally detaching yourself from everything. You're saying, I'm letting everything go. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be and listen and pay attention and cut myself off from everything. And then when I get up to go out again, I'm not tied. You know, you cannot make a decision if you are emotionally attached to a certain outcome. Make sense?
Where's that tipping point when you become from an observer to an active participant?
Well, I think you're always the observer. In my book, you always want to be the observer. You always want to be observing things. Because it's like whatever's going on in the world. You know, all of the shootings that have been happening lately, you know. Yes, it breaks our heart, you know. And there are moments when we will cry, we're in pain, and we just have to release it. Because if you watch it too much, we were talking about this before the service, if you engage in it too much, it will overwhelm you. And a human being is not really made to handle that much stress. Your mind is not made to handle that much stress. And so you have to pull back from it and you have to say, okay, the world is as it is. It exists as it is. I maybe can't do anything about it right at the moment, but I can't worry about it. I can't emotionally attach myself. You know, I have to pull back. And then once I'm free, then I can approach it in a positive way and make changes where there needs to be changes. Then I can pray, then I can act, then I can do whatever I need to do. Or not, you know. But I won't know that as long as I'm emotionally drained and pulled in and sucked in. Anybody here grow up in families that were emotionally draining?
Did anybody not grow up in a family?
That might be the better question. You know, and it's just like everything was just over the top and just discussed and in detail, and things were just like, you know, the blame and you just felt bleh, you know. Well, we have to pull back from that drama, right? Pull back from the drama and just be. And then when I'm refreshed and I'm renewed, that's what we do on Sunday mornings. We get refreshed, we get renewed, recharged. Then we go out and, you know, we get back into the groove, but we're new again. We're fresh. We're refreshed. Does that make sense? Then we're like, you know, it's like I'm born again, and again, and again, and again.
I think of being the observer as consciously creating space
Yeah.
So don't look at me all puzzled.
He's Australian. I'll translate.
So when something is going on, I'm going to consciously create a space for me not to be engaged in it, but to watch it, to observe it. And and even if it's just a breath, if I consciously create that space to watch it without engaging emotionally or without reacting.
Would it be fair to say that you're talking about creating emotional space between you and whatever it is?
Yes.
Creating psychological space.
Yes. Not time, distance, space.
Not literal space.
Right.
Even though that could be helpful.
Oh, literal space like this.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about creating that moment of just watching and listening and observing, and then giving yourself the chance and the time to formulate your response to it. That to me is like being in the observer state, being the observer. And if I can train myself to do that for much of my day, boy, how much simpler things could be. Because then I'm not going to get sucked into every drama and every, thing that triggers me, because I'm watching it from that state where I'm not actively participating in it. I'm choosing how I'm going to participate in it. So I'm before I get sucked into it, I'm creating that space and that breath. Okay, I'm going to respond this way. Because typically as a person with past anger issues, there was no such thing as creating any space. It was just blah, just an immediate total buy-in and reaction to everything. So the only way that I could quit doing that was by learning to be the observer and giving myself that, okay, I'm going to count to 10 before I respond to this. And in that count of 10, I will determine what I'm going to do. Sometimes counting to 10, I still did the same thing. But at least I was training myself to give, until I got to where I could formulate the appropriate responses that I wanted. At least I was giving myself and training myself to take that time to think before acting. And I think it's that way. Yes, when you see things on the news, instead of going into that place of being sucked into the drama, okay, what would be the highest Christ consciousness response in this? It would be to extend love, to extend peace. Yes, I recognize that there's a lot of human emotion going on here. But I'm going to extend love. So then I can make that conscious decision to respond a certain way.
And then,
That's what I think about it.
And like our relationship, for instance, okay, if I'm going to scoot over here for just a second. All right. Okay. So here we are.
Count to 10, Leah. 10.
We're joined together in a relationship, okay?
Ow.
Of pain. No. I didn't know I was abusive.
Lighten up.
I'm trying to make a point.
I know.
So, anyway, you're so close to each other. There's no psychological space in between. Okay? In other words, we can't be emotionally, clenched together all the time. Because what happens is, we become sandpaper, to rub each other the wrong way. And so what I have to do is I have to give her space to think her own thoughts, to live her own life, to be whoever she wants to be, to take my hands off, and psychologically create a little distance between her and I so she can be the beautiful person, the soul that she has come to be, and then I can be the soul that I've come to be. You see what I'm saying?
And then you can rub each other the right way.
Exactly. Which is a good thing. So, anybody else?
Good example. I was first.
Leah, Sometimes you need to count to 100.
Yes, and also drink lots of that wine that you referred to.
Yes, yeah, I love that idea. That's good. You've talked about being tied to emotions and things like that, and also, we're tied to physical things also,
Yes.
possessions. Like I look in my closet and I've got 10 knit shirts. What do I need with 10 knit shirts? Why don't I give half of those to the homeless? Or you go in and I don't do this. Tina and Kevin will tell you I'm real cheap. I get McDonald's senior coffee. But, go into Starbucks and pay $5 for a cup of coffee. Why don't we take that $5 and put it in a jar, and then we give it to the church, or we give it to a charity, or we give it to a mission?
Okay.
I would like to note that he is not making a reference to my big venti coffee sitting next to him.
You tell us, right? Sit right next to you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sure you didn't know.
I love you anyway. And I know you weren't responding to that. And you're absolutely
When
right.
you're a senior, you can get senior coffee.
That's right.
You're
That's
absolutely
right.
right.
That's right.
Oh, God.
Well, I think that's a very good statement, because being emotionally attached to things is insanity, because cars rust out, houses fall down. See, everything in this world is temporary. So if you're joined together with your stuff, then your favorite shirt's gonna your shoes are gonna wear. Everything wears out. So you want to have just enough where you play with it. You enjoy your life. You enjoy your life. If you've got stuff that's hanging in your closet that you're no longer enjoying, then as you were saying, let's pass it along, and let somebody else enjoy. I love the Salvation Army and all of these places now where you can go get shirts for a couple bucks or something. It's amazing, and it's just good to recirculate, to keep things in circulation, and so emptying out. And here's what happens when you empty it out: more comes back in. Who else had their hand? Do you have your hand up? Back? Oh, you were just turning the baby. Anybody else?
If you want to start a meditation practice, I have for a long time, I don't understand my resistance to make it happen.
Okay.
I have no excuse in the world
Okay.
because I'm at home all day,
Yeah.
and yet it never happens. And I had the opposite situation when I was working. I really believe there was no time for it to happen.
Right.
But now that there is, possibly one of the reasons is I feel less stress.
Yeah.
But I feel like meditation would help anyway. But I have such a resistance to do it.
Yeah.
That busy mind doesn't want you to get quiet. That's a lot of it, I think. A lot of times our busy mind doesn't want us to get quiet. It wants to keep us occupied. Oh, no, you don't want to go there and get quiet. We got things to do. We got things to think about.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, too, anytime there's resistance, there's a belief behind it. And that's what you want to uncover. What is the belief that's keeping me from doing this thing that I believe would be helpful for me? And also what you said, when you were working really hard every day and under a lot of stress, you needed to meditate. But now, in a sense, your lifestyle is more, maybe everything's a meditation. Everything you do, when you fix your food, when you walk out the door, when you walk in the yard, let it all be a meditation, and just kind of look at it in that way instead of resisting the idea of, I want to sit down, but, I know I need to, but I just, instead of doing that, just say, I'm just going to make every day a meditation, everything I do. And I'm just going to breathe through. When I eat my lunch, I'm going to eat it slowly and consider what I'm eating and just pay more attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I I'm kind of get this idea that I have to have this really quiet space
Yeah.
and sit a certain way, and
I see it now.
yeah.
I see it now.
Now, because I do drink my coffee in the morning,
Sure.
and sit on the stairs and
That's meditation.
enjoy the cats
Yeah.
outside, and
That's meditation.
yeah. But
But I see where what could be something to think about, and this hits a lot of us. If I can't do it perfect,
yeah, exactly. And
then
that's
I won't do it at
That's
all.
a running theme in my
yeah,
life.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the perfectionism that gets us into trouble. Because that's why a lot of people won't do a lot of things, is because, well, you got to be perfect at it. If you're not perfect at it immediately, then you're not doing it right. So why even try? And that's something that we have to just go a little easy on ourselves. It's self-judgment is what it gets back to. It's self-judgment, it's self-condemnation, and it's again, in my case, it was self-loathing. Well, you're not a perfect minister, And finally I realized, no, I'm just who I am. I'm just who I am. I sing like I sing. I drive like I drive. I just do what I do, naturally, It's that perfectionism, that ideal that we have. It's like if you have an ideal thought about how your relationship should be, oh my goodness, it's going to get you into trouble. Because it's not what it should be, it's what it is. If you're always thinking about what it should be, you never see what it really is in reality. Does that make sense? So letting things be what they are and observe them in that fashion, that's kind of meditation. Then everything becomes, there's a stillness that arises within you in everything that you do. Because it's not so much the way you put your legs and, if you're sitting right, that stuff is fine, it's okay. But what is your state of being? Does that make sense? And how do you enter a peaceful state? Is it going out in the yard and walking around? Is it going and sharing a cup of coffee with friends and talking? You see what I mean? And so we don't want to be so hard on ourselves about this stuff. It's going to be over quick. I didn't know if you knew that. It's going to be over quick. So enjoy the moment. Right? Just enjoy each moment for what it is. Yes, but James, I have big plans. I'm going to, conquer the world. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Okay. But if you put that heavy trip on yourself, then you're setting yourself up. You can only take one breath at a time. You can only eat one delicious meal at a time. Right? It's like a group of people one time were at this beautiful waterfall in Asheville, North Carolina, or Brevard, wherever it was. They were looking at the waterfall. And then one person spoke up and said, yeah, but you should see the one in Hawaii. It was really a wonderful water. Well, wait a minute. Enjoy the moment. Stop comparing everything. Comparison. Stop comparing everything, measuring everything. Because that's what gets us into trouble. I'm sorry, I get on.
No, it's
rolls.
called metacrastination. It's normal.
Yes. What? Who?
Okay, my question is kind of opposite of what you just said.
Okay.
All right, so if you're like, life sometimes is like sitting in a chair next to a railroad track, and you can see this train coming.
Yeah.
And the people you love or the people that you care about, you know what's going to happen if they won't get off the track, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay, so you can pray for them, you can beg them, you can do anything but run out there and rescue them.
Yeah.
And they don't get it, and they're going to get hit, and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So all you can do is sit there and watch that happen.
Right.
So how do you deal with being okay with knowing the train's coming and there's nothing you can do?
Yeah, that's happening a lot in this world right now. There's a lot of things going on that we have no power or control over. And that's what you have to remember. I have no power over what anybody else does. It's their life. And I believe that every soul comes loaded with what they want to do, with how they want to experience their life. Maybe they need the train wreck in order to get them on the path. How did you get to be so wise and wonderful? You see what I mean? How many train wrecks have you been through? So, you see what I'm saying? So what you can do is you can pray for them and send them love and just see them, in wisdom. Okay? And just hold that for them, wisdom. And for understanding and for clarity and for purpose and for... Pray that they wake up. You see what I'm saying? And what happens when you pray for somebody, you are literally sending them a vibration of energy. Okay? And so it's a way of tapping them on the shoulder without doing it with your hand. You're sending them your prayers. And you're envisioning them and holding them in the light, which what we do every Sunday. We hold people. We hold them in our consciousness. And we're bringing them into our awareness. And then in that moment, we're sending a signal to them that we love them, that we care about them, that they are good, that they are sacred. You see what I'm saying? And so if you can do that without, and as much as you can, let go of the worry about it. Because I've got relatives, kids, and they're all doing their thing. And I wish I could take what I've learned and pour it into them, but it doesn't work that way. Everybody has to get it for themselves. There are no grandkids in spiritual walk. You see what I'm saying? In other words, they got to get it for themselves. And that's hard. And finally, they get to a point to where they say, you know what, Dad, I want to talk to you about something. You say, okay. And they say, you've learned about this, right? And I say, yeah, I've been through it. And then finally, but it's
there is no better moment in parenthood than when your kids turn that corner from you don't know anything to can you give me some advice?
Yeah.
There is no better moment than that.
And in that moment, don't do it. Don't gloat. Don't say, I told you so.
Don't even answer them.
Just
turn and walk away. Get your nose up and walk away.
Just look at them and go, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right. Well, this has been good today. I hope that you've enjoyed it.
Good question.
Thank you. All right. Well, we've got one more song.
We do, but before he comes,
Yes.
and the name of his song is Folding Money. Before he comes, we're going to ask the ushers to get ready and ask you to get your offering together as we get ready to receive that. Oh, so let's just for a moment take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes and make that 18-inch journey from your head to your heart. And when we're in this heart space, we can experience our oneness. When we get out of the head and we get into the heart, we can experience our oneness. Fully connected with each other and with Divine Spirit. So this morning, as we receive our offering, we do it in a state of gratitude. We're grateful for the opportunity to give. The church is grateful for the opportunity to receive. We know that all of our needs are taken care of when we give from that place, and that as we sow, we reap. When we sow with gratitude and love and bounty, we receive that back in the same measure. So we thank God for all of our blessings. We have so many blessings, so many things to be grateful for. We're thankful for this church. We're grateful for each other. And grateful for this time that we've had together. Oh, take another breath. And it is with great love and gratitude that we say, thank you, God. And so it is.